Welcome to Haken, an Animal Crossing podcast. I'm your host, Chewy Plays Nintendo, joined by my co-host, Sergio. Today, we'll go over the recent updates to Pocket Camp, specifically Gulliver's cargo ship and the upcoming fortune cookies. We'll also celebrate the 17th anniversary of the Animal Crossing series. And finally, we're going to talk about the results to my Twitter poll asking if you think Animal Crossing Switch will be announced at E3 2018. So, hi Sergio, how are you doing?
Hi, Chewy. Hello, everyone. I'm doing well, and yourself?
I'm doing great. I've been playing a bit of Animal Crossing, so let's get into it. So, Gulliver's cargo ship. So this is something I've been waiting for a while.
Right.
I think I mentioned it for a few episodes where I was like, I saw a picture of Gulliver. Where is he? I like that guy. He's pretty funny. And then he just like never showed up, and I was like, what was
Right.
happening with this? But we finally got him, and my initial reaction was I was disappointed in
Yeah, me
it.
too, right.
So let's go over this a bit. So Gulliver, he shows up at Sunburst Island just as I expected he would, because
Hmm.
that's where he was in the picture. Um, so what he does is he asks you for furniture, and then he'll take that furniture and kind of travel the world in some direction.
Right.
He'll either go north, south, east, or west. And so I guess let's talk about the first time you meet him, where he.
Mhm.
I always like when you first meet Gulliver because he's like, "What's my name? Gullible? No, Gulliver." uh, he's pretty funny. I like the
Yeah.
way he always forgets everything. I should probably read Gulliver's Travels and see if like that character is true
Oh,
to that, the story.
right.
Regardless, so the first time he asks you for a piece of furniture, and this is the part where I was just like, huh, I'm not sure about this. Because essentially there's unmarked furniture, furniture that says good, and furniture that says great.
Right.
And the furniture that says great isn't necessarily stuff that you want to get rid of.
Right, exactly.
At least most of it isn't. Some of it you're like, whatever, I don't need that. And others you're like, why would I get
Yeah.
rid of like this
Right.
event item that I got and I don't know if I'm ever going to be able to get it again, you know?
Right.
So it's hard for a hoarder, in other words. But yeah, so you can trade them. My first thing I traded was a special screen that I made. I think it was Margie for
Hmm.
Margie. I was like, oh, I guess I'll remake this for her, but I just want to see what a great thing would get you, you know?
Right. I did a great thing too. I think it was a duplicate from an event, but I wanted a great.
Yeah, that's the point, just to see what's the best you can get.
Right.
And then he comes back in 3 minutes, right?
Right.
And I got like three pieces of candy, and that was it. And they
Right.
were all like basic pieces. Like I didn't even get any good
Right.
or whatever the tiers of candy are. I just got like three basic candies. I was like, what if
Right.
I just sent him not something good? Would I have gotten the same thing?
Right.
Um so yeah, anyways, after that, he asks not for one thing. He
Hmm.
asks for zero things, 10. 10 items. And you're just like, what? I do not have 10 items to spare, Gulliver. I am sorry.
Right. That's when I thought, oh no, this whatever this feature or event is, this is not gonna work well for me.
Yeah, so initially I was like, why would this be worth it? Why would I give you 10 things for one piece of candy? Because that actually happened to me. So I gave him 10 things, and
Hmm.
he comes back 6 hours later now, because now it
Right,
takes
right.
6 hours. But he comes back and he gives me one piece of candy. And I was like, what? Come on, man. I gave you 10 things, and all you get me is one piece of
Just one.
candy. How is that fair? And so then I feed that candy to somebody, and they go up like 2 hearts.
Right.
And I'm like, okay, this event is not
No.
for me. And so I think the next day I didn't play at all.
Mm.
I was like, I don't know if I'm feeling it.
Right.
Um, but then I start seeing on Twitter that there are some villagers that you can get if you
Hmm.
give them some items. And that's when I was like, wait, what? They're villagers? Now I'm interested. Now I'm like, okay, so there's something good that can happen
Right.
here. Because right now it's not.
Right, exactly.
Yeah, so anyways, yeah, I guess what were your initial reactions to this thing?
Right. Well, at first I was intrigued. I gave him something great. He came back and gave me three snacks. But then I grabbed one and I gave it to, I think it was Dottie. And she leveled up a little bit. And I was thinking, well, maybe because it's just a standard snack or. But then I went back to Gulliver. He wanted 10 things. And I was like, nope, see you later. I'm not doing that. And then, we did some research and some people did go ahead and give him 10 things. And we realized, like you said, that there's better snacks and more importantly, there's villagers to get, which is it's tempting enough that I feel like I need to do that. And, I'm going to be doing it here and there. I just sent him on a quest earlier today, so we'll see what I get. But yeah, I guess I'll just do it until I get those three villagers.
Yeah, so yeah, we find out about the villagers, and my big question was like, do we have to give him like really good items to get them?
Hmm.
But we don't. This is the great thing about it. You can build 10 1 minute items, give it to him, and you still have a chance at getting one of these villagers.
Right.
And uh, I guess we should mention what villagers are here, but we've got O'Hare, who is a brown bunny with a cute little hat.
Hmm.
There's Plucky, the chicken, who is actually a character that came back through the Welcome Amiibo update.
Right.
So she was originally in just the first Animal Crossing, and then she was gone.
Hmm.
And then she came back through Welcome Amiibo, which is really nice. And then we got Rowan the tiger, and O'Hare and Rowan I've had in my towns before. I love them both.
Hmm.
I always like those two characters. I remember at one point, I think it was the GameCube Animal Crossing. I must have had like all of the tigers in my town
Ooh,
at one
nice.
point. I don't know how they all moved in, but I was
Right.
like, I'm fine with this. I love these tigers. I think I had like all the tigers and lions. They just
Nice.
kind of wanted to move into my town. So Rowan was probably one of my favorites, though. He's a classic little orange tiger.
Right.
Um, so I liked him. And then O'Hare, I think actually, let me look this up because I believe I have the same birthday as O'Hare.
Oh, wow.
Let me check. It might be the day after. Um, oh, it's the day before. So O'Hare lived in my New Leaf town, and I guess you know what? How in New Leaf you build a campsite and villagers will visit.
Hmm.
I think he was my first visiting villager there.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, he was the first one at the campsite, and I saw him, and I was just like, "You are moving in. You're perfect." um, so yeah, O'Hare, we go way back.
Mm, nice.
Yeah. So what do you think of these villagers?
Oh, I like them. I mean, personally, I'm hoping for Rowan, the soonest, or the first. But I like them all.
Yeah, and I guess how many times have you sent out Gulliver?
So just the first time, actually, I should check now because I think he's back. But yeah, my
Yeah.
first time was yesterday.
Oh, that's cool. Yeah, I've sent him out, I think 5 times now.
Oh,
Maybe
wow.
four if you don't count
The
the
first one.
first time. So I think I've sent him out about 4 times, and it wasn't till this most recent one that I got my first villager, and I got Plucky the chicken.
Hmm. Oh, nice.
And I like Plucky. I think she's great.
Yeah, yeah.
So I was happy to get Plucky. But yeah, I'm totally looking forward to getting both O'Hare and Rowan because they're super cute.
Right, right. And to our listeners on our Discord chat, we have a little chart that a Reddit user known as Grok Not Mock made, and it lists items that you can craft in 1 minute, which are really quick, or some items that can be considered good or great if you actually care about the snacks, so you can level up your villagers a little bit faster. And as long as the point system, we don't know exactly how many points the things are, but as long as it's 15 or more, you have the chance, I believe it's a 30% chance of getting one of those three villagers.
Yeah, it's not too bad, the odds.
Hmm.
But I don't know. I'm not the luckiest person. If I lose a game, it tends to be because of the luck-based aspect to it.
Mm.
Um, I'm looking at you, Settlers of Catan, and your rolls of the die. Um, anyways, so yeah, it took me a lot of tries before he finally gave me or brought back a villager.
Right, right.
But yeah, that chart is super helpful. It's pinned on our Discord. It essentially just gives you all of the cheapest options to send Gulliver out. They're the
Right.
cheapest and the fastest.
Hmm.
So
Right.
yeah, all those 1 minute options are great. I think the fastest item to make is the giant Dharma, um,
Mm.
which is, I think it only costs like 220 bells, it's six wood,
Hmm.
and then 1 minute to craft. So it's what I've been using
Right.
to this whole time now.
That's good.
Yeah, so it yeah, it's been pretty quick to make those things. If you have the three slots or whatever, it only really takes about 4 minutes.
Right. Hmm.
Yeah, to get those 10 items crafted. So,
Right.
yeah. And now that I'm like picking up on all the different tricks, I'm more okay with this Gulliver event.
Right. But you know what I wish we had? A way to see whatever item you have is a duplicate, or a way to sort them so that the duplicates show up in the same slot and it just says times two or times four or however many you have. Because there's some items that I may be willing to just give him now instead of having to craft, even if it takes a minute. I mean, there's some items that I know for sure that I don't really care to have duplicates of.
Yeah, you're making a really good point because one of the biggest things with this game is that we just have no way to sort things
Right.
very well. And uh, it's slowing it down, but also I guess I'm having trouble finding what items I want to give him strictly because there's no way to know if I've already gotten what I've wanted out of that item.
Oh, yes, right.
So specifically, I have a bunch of villagers. I've invited every villager to my campsite,
Mhm.
but I haven't invited them yet. So I've gotten them all prepped up and I can invite them whenever I want, you
Right.
know? But I don't know. I'd have to look through all my items and see, oh, does anybody want this? Have I invited them? Oh, I haven't. I guess I can't give them this item. And that's
Right.
such a slow process, you know?
Right. Hmm.
So I wish there was some sort of like labeling system in the game where you can like put a little square icon that says this is ready to ship, or
Hmm.
hold on to this if you put a circle on it,
Right.
you know?
Right.
But essentially, like if you could mark your items in some way and then
Right.
even like sort them by those markings, you know?
Right. Hmm.
Um, yeah, that's just like a quick off the cuff idea that I came up with right now. So I don't know. I would just like a better way to keep track of all of that information, you know?
Right. It would be helpful, and it would make this feature just easier and more enjoyable to use.
Yeah, and maybe it'll come because, like
Right.
we've had so many garden events now, and the gardening is so much better now than it was in the beginning.
Right.
So I think because it looks like Gulliver's here to stay. It doesn't look
Right.
like this is an event that's a timed thing or that he's leaving. I
Right.
think he's a permanent member of this place.
If anything, they might add more villagers that you can only get through him.
Yeah, exactly. I think what's fun about this is This takes me right back to the original Animal Crossing game. When I first plugged in a Game Boy Advance to my GameCube, Cap'n shows up in a boat or on the dock, and he has
Mhm.
a boat, and he'll charge. No, he doesn't even charge you. In this case, he just takes you over
Right.
to an island where you can have a second island home as like a vacation home, but there's like a
Mhm.
random assortment of villagers that are tied to the island. Um, so you can get like an island villager, and
Right.
I think that's cool about it. I think it'll be awesome to see that there's like a different way to get villagers this
Mhm.
time,
Right.
and I want that just makes me excited. I want to see like what other villagers are gonna show up there. It's gonna be cool.
Right. And I'm guessing they start at level 0, correct? I was wondering if they go straight to your campsite or if they stick around and you might find them in some of the areas.
Yeah, so essentially, like, you can invite them into your campsite right away when they get there. And
Right.
I think when you do talk to them, they get that first level up.
Mhm.
Um, and then after that, I think you'll have to level them up normally. But yeah, that's like the lowest level villager that you can get into your campsite,
Right. Mhm.
which is super cool.
Yeah, easy level ups for sure.
Yeah, and we get more hearts.
Right.
Also, real quick as an update, so I think everybody has figured out that it takes about 20 hearts to level up, right?
Right.
And I think, has that been the number since the beginning? Because I felt like in the beginning I leveled up so quickly, but maybe it was just that all the villagers I talked to were so low, you know?
Right.
And so there were a lot of hearts going around right at the beginning. Um, but maybe it always took 20 hearts to level up because that would say, or that would show that each villager is one level for your character.
Oh, that's right.
So your max level is however many villagers there are
Right.
in the
Right.
game. Yeah, just something I kind of thought about the other day and had forgotten to mention anywhere.
Right. No, but
Um,
I think in the beginning we would level up a lot faster. I want to say maybe around like that level 20 mark. That's when it took a lot more hearts to level up.
Yeah, that might have been it too. Maybe it took like 10 hearts at the beginning,
Right.
and
Right.
so it went a lot quicker. I'd have to start a new game to figure that out, but it's hard to tell.
Right.
Yeah, so another thing I wanted to mention about the Gulliver thing is another or something that's holding me back from giving him the great items is that I've also crafted a lot of like the really expensive items, but I haven't put them up in my campsite and invited that villager over so they can enjoy it, you know?
Right. Right.
So that's another thing that's holding me back. Like, I don't know what villagers have seen what. I'm at the point where I'm just kind of like gonna put all of the expensive items up at once
Mhm.
and then invite all those villagers at one time
Right.
and get them all, super happy.
Right. Right. Right.
Yeah. So what do you think of Gulliver now since like it came out and now that we know how to do the whole event.
Right, I think that's the key part. Now that we know what to do and we know what the rewards are. So yeah, I'm gonna be trying. It's not gonna be a priority of mine, but I definitely want those 3 villagers. There's also what looks like there's gonna be a new essence, basically to even things out and bring us to 8 essences. It's looking like it's gonna be the civic essence.
Yeah. Yeah, I kind of noticed one of the new items had that logo, the Civic thing, and I was like, "Oh, that sounds like there's a new essence on the way."
Right.
So I'm wondering if all these little villagers with business suits are going to start to show up.
Right, so there's a big update coming this week. Maybe we'll get new villagers and civic natures.
Yeah. Yeah, speaking of big updates, let's actually get into the next big thing that's coming. And this has probably started at the point right now where you're listening, but
Right.
fortune cookies. Um this is crazy. This is a whole new mechanic that they're adding to the game, just like Gulliver was. It's kind of crazy that we're seeing like permanent changes to how the
Right.
game is being played. Um, this tells me though. Okay, so let's actually talk about fortune cookies. Do you want to let everybody know like what they are and what's happening?
Right. So there's gonna be a new area in the marketplace where you're gonna get fortune cookies either by bells or by leaf tickets. And you're only going to be able to get a certain amount per day. And depending on the cookie, it's going to show you before you get it the odds of getting a certain item. So at least it shows you, you know. But essentially, it's going to be a little tricky system for getting new items. And eventually, if you collect enough items of a certain set, you're going to unlock they're calling it a memory, which I'm guessing it's like a little special event like the one we get after the gardening events, you know, where you see the main character from the event and some of your villagers doing something.
Yeah, kind of. That's pretty cool.
Yeah,
I'm pretty interested to see what that's going to be about.
right, definitely. But unfortunately, it seems like getting the items that you need for those memories, it's going to be a little tricky, and most likely it's sounding like we're going to have to spend some leaf tickets.
Yeah, so what I wanted to say a little bit, but we had to explain this, is I'm pretty sure Nintendo is not making enough money on this game.
Right.
Because we talked about this last week, and I was like, it is insane how much, how many Leaf tickets so many of these things cost, you know?
Mhm,
And I want to see some more bell items, specifically the terrains. I want to see some terrains that I can buy for bells, you know?
mhm,
But they're adding essentially what's the gachapon
mhm.
machines in Japan, which are like, you know, you put some money in, you get a prize. It can be something you don't have, something you do have, you know. So they're essentially adding that type of mechanic, which is super common in tons of mobile games.
Right.
And Nintendo specifically has they've been very successful with that in Fire Emblem Heroes, you
Mhm,
know? So they're essentially just trying to give us a reason to spend money on this game,
right.
which I think this is gonna be better for them than any of the other Leaf ticket items they've done.
Right.
I think a lot of people are gonna want to spend money on this, because there are a lot of people who are like really into mobile games and, you know, spend money on these things because they enjoy it, you know?
Right.
So I think they're gonna find a lot of success for that. I don't. I'm torn because I'm probably gonna want the items, but right now the items they've announced are Marshall's pastry cookie, Rosie's pop star cookie, and Filbert's rocket cookie.
Mhm.
My thing about this is those are Marshall's things, those are Rosie's things, those are Filbert's things.
Right.
How long till we get all 400 villagers things?
Right.
That's a lot of leaf tickets to spend.
Right, because we have our favorites. Marshall is one of my favorites, Filbert too.
Yeah.
And you're gonna want to get those items because you want that memory with them.
Yeah, and that's pretty enticing too. This is going to be something that we've never seen before, but it's like a memory triggered by or an event triggered, you know, in Animal Crossing. That's like straight up story mode right there.
Right, and they're warning us that these are gonna be switched around every now and then, so you have to. There's a time limit.
Oh man. There's only so much time you can get these things. And so they're going to make a lot of money right now. I'm hoping is that this is successful, but and they change just the leaf ticket prices on other things.
Mhm.
Um, for example, the terrains that cost leaf tickets, the camper things that cost leaf tickets, turn those into bells, you know?
Right.
We don't need to spend leaf tickets on
Hmm.
that.
Okay.
Because if they're getting enough money from us by getting these fortune cookies out, then I don't think they've got to worry about like just the regular in-game items
Right. I
being.
see. I see your angle. That's right.
Yeah, so I hope we see that at least. I think I don't know. A lot of people don't like mobile gaming for this very aspect, but
Right,
it's what makes it work for people. Um, they're trying to make money off of these things, especially
right,
ones that they put out for free, you know?
right,
And so there's always going to be this sort of catch in a game.
right. And yeah, we don't know how much or how many lift tickets these are gonna cost,
Yeah,
but
or how many bells, because there are the bell
right,
options.
right. And but they are telling us that in order to get a card and to get stamps that give you special items, you can only get stamps by getting cookies that are by lift tickets, not by bells.
Yeah,
So
and then can you tell me about the stamps a bit? Because I hadn't really looked at this aspect of it.
right, so for every cookie that you get via lift tickets exclusively, you're gonna get a stamp. Once you get 10 stamps, you're gonna get your stamp card, and I believe that warrants you one of those items for the memories.
So I guess, so am I gonna have like a separate stamp card for Marshall, one for Rosie, and one for Filbert?
It sounds like it. I'm wondering if they're gonna be doing three at a time.
Oh, okay. Yeah, that'd be interesting. And then at that point, sorry, I don't know if I heard it right, but at 10 stamps, you get the special item. Does that also unlock kind of the event?
I hope so, right. I hope that's it. And so, the first three that we know of, those are regular villagers. I wonder if that's gonna be it. It's only gonna be for villagers. But, there's a lot of Isabel fans, a lot of Tom Nook or KK Slider fans. They might do NPCs and have them special events or memories. It's exciting, but you're gonna want to save.
Yeah, I hope they're not also gonna like try to get you where they're like, oh, once you've gotten these 10 stamps, you get one of these items. And once you've gotten all five of these items,
Oh man,
then you get the event. That
right,
would be so annoying.
right.
Yeah, I'm excited. Nintendo did hold a Twitter poll recently for this
Mhm.
event, and so they essentially had everybody vote for their favorite out of Marshall's, Rosie's, and Filbert's. Marshall is killing
Yeah,
everybody. Marshall is way in the lead. There's no
right.
way. I voted. Who'd you vote for?
I voted for Marshall.
Okay, I voted for Filbert specifically because I was like, we don't have enough space camp
Right,
items. I think we have some stuff where we can make a little shop, a little diner or pastry shop.
right,
Some items exist to do that.
right,
Rosie's pop star thing, we have a lot of instruments, we already have the rock stage.
right. Exactly.
There's no space stuff. That's why I voted for Filbert. I was like, come on, give us. Also, I like Filbert,
Yeah,
but yeah, I think it would have been cool to make a space camp. And I know Cyborg Jiro in our Discord
right,
feels the same. He wants the space things.
right. If I could have it my way, I would have given Marshall the rocket event.
Yeah, that would have been cool.
That would have been
Especially,
cool. Yeah.
yeah. Did he ever live in your town?
No, not in previous Animal Crossing games. No.
Yeah, I think. Well, I think he just got. Is New Leaf his first game? I think it was.
Oh, okay. I believe so, actually.
Yeah. So, anyways, I have him in my town, and he always talks about like trains and things.
Oh,
And I was like, oh, what if he had like a cool like train themed stuff?
right.
Um, but I think a lot of like, I forget what his personality was. Smug, maybe?
Yes.
Yeah, I think a lot of the smug villagers talked about the trains.
Mhm.
So as you got to know them a little more, you're like, oh, you're a little
Right.
nerdy, which is fine and
Right.
dandy. Um, so yeah, anyways, I was hoping Filbert was in dead last, unfortunately. We
Right.
stood no chance, apparently. Nobody wanted cool space stuff.
Right.
Yeah, so I guess, what do you think of this system getting added to the game?
It's exciting, but it's concerning. I really want to know how many leaf tickets the special cookies are going to cost, how the whole system is going to be handled, how often they're going to switch them around. Yeah, it's exciting. And like you said, sometimes you play a mobile game a lot and without spending anything. And I don't know. For example, I always go back to Pokemon Shuffle, and I felt bad because even today I haven't bought any of their items that you needed to keep playing. In a way, though, I feel like I made up for that with how much I've spent on Pocket Camp, even though,
Yeah, that's
it's
true.
not even the same company. But I'm excited. Hopefully it's well implemented, and hopefully it entices players to spend a little more money if they feel like it, and it gives Nintendo a little bit of money in a fair way. I hope so.
Yeah, I guess I think this system is good for mobile games. I think people spend a lot on these types of gotcha systems, you
Right.
know?
Hmm.
So, in one way, I'm hoping that Nintendo makes enough money from it, but in another, I'm like, I'm hoping Nintendo realizes that maybe the mobile aspect to Animal Crossing isn't what fans want, and
Yes.
they're not
Right.
spending on it because they specifically want the next mainline game, you
Right.
know? And yeah, because we've been waiting for so long.
Right.
So I always have to throw that in there. Just, oh, maybe it's okay to fail because, yeah.
Right. Fail here and succeed on the Switch.
Yeah, just realize that your failure is because we haven't gotten a new game.
Right.
So, yeah. So yeah, anyways, let's get into the next topic. It is, or it was, Animal Crossing 17th anniversary. So, yeah, the game's existed for 17 years now. It's just about leaving its teenage years
Right.
into adulthood. um, I mean, 18 and 19 are still teenagers,
Right.
but you know. But regardless, Animal Crossing originally came out in Japan for the N64, and that was actually on April 14th, 2001. So as we record this, it's
Mhm.
April 15th. When this comes out, it's going to be April 17th. Oh, 17 years, April 17th. What do you know? um, so, yeah, we actually, Sergio, you reached out on our Discord and you just asked what everybody's like favorite, um, I guess, how did you phrase it?
Right, just one moment that stood out to them from the series, either the games or anything related to Animal Crossing. It could have been music, art, collectibles, anything that came to mind.
Yeah, which is awesome because there's so many different things to
Right,
choose from. I think most people probably had trouble picking just one. I
right.
know I thought of it for a while, so you'll definitely get our answers. But let's see what some of our Patreon. Well, actually, they're not even. I mean, most of
Most of
everybody
them.
who answered is Patreon
Right,
patrons, but we did have it open for anybody who was on the Discord.
right.
Um, so, anyways, I guess I'll start off with Jezelyn, who said her one big memory was walking through the museum after finishing all of the exhibits. Well, even before they were completely finished. But she said the bug areas and aquariums were her favorite. It was so cool to see everything together and learn facts about them. Hashtag nerd. Also, the addition of the Welcome Amiibo update got me playing again for a while, sporadically. I particularly loved seeing new items to buy, especially after I got the Sanrio cards with Etoile. I think is that
Right.
how you say it?
Yes.
Yeah. And there they had the little twin stars furniture. And apparently little twin stars are two of her favorite characters.
Right.
So, yeah, I agree with that. When you finish the museum, because I didn't finish the first Animal Crossings museum.
Mhm.
I don't think I finished Wild Worlds, and I don't think I finished City Folk. But
No.
New Leaf, I finished that museum. I got. It's always the artwork that
Mhm.
stops me.
Yes, that's right. Of
That's the
course.
hardest thing to
Yeah.
get. But I did it. And so when you complete that museum, it feels like you've done the biggest thing in the game. Like,
Right.
sure, the main goal is paying off your home, getting it super huge, whatever. The museum's the real task.
Right.
Because what do you spend your days doing? You spend
Right.
them catching bugs, fishing, digging for fossils, and hoping Crazy Red isn't going to rip you off.
Right, exactly.
Yeah. So I guess how do you feel about your museums, or have you finished any of them before?
Yes, I did. And there was a point when I stopped playing New Leaf, and it was like I had like a little personal moment. I made it all official, and you know how I was doing a photo album. That was
Yeah.
the last day when I was taking photographs, and I made it a specific point to go to the museum because I love the way everything looks when it's all completed. I took a lot of photographs there before quote unquote quitting, even though I came back, a couple of months down the line.
Yeah. And that's actually like one of my favorite things to explore when I first start a new game of Animal Crossing. I always walk in and I'm like, "Oh, look at how they laid out the museum in this one," you know?
Right,
So, it's fun to go back and look through all of the Animal Crossings and see just what was different about it, you know?
right. Hmm.
Yeah, so you want to take this next one?
Yes, our next favorite moment or a moment that stands out is by our reader, Dragon. And by the way, a little note about Dragon that he is the one that reminded us that it was the 17th anniversary of Animal Crossing. So thank you, Dragon. And his comment is, my favorite moment was the first time I discovered being able to sit in front of the town tree and seeing the alternate credits in the history of your town up to that point. That literally blew my mind and a friend that I was playing with at the time, on top of being such a heartwarming feature.
Yeah, that is a big moment
Yeah,
in New Leaf, because usually you see the credits in Animal Crossing, and it's while you're listening to KK Slider,
right.
the credits will scroll through the song. But when you sit in front of your town tree in New Leaf, you get a special set of credits, and
Hmm.
it's a whole record of like who moved into your town and when, and what big facilities you've built, like Club
Right,
LOL or the coffee shop, or any big thing you've built, and all of your like public works projects. It gives
right.
you a date, it gives you what the item was or what the project was, and yeah, and it plays some pretty soothing music
Oh
the
yes,
whole
it's
time.
like a compilation of many, many songs. It's so good.
Yeah. um it makes me think. So when I started the game, I took a photo in front of my tree every single day
Mhm.
for 365 days. So by the time I was done with my first year, I put a video together. Maybe I'll link it in the description of this
Right, right.
podcast. But I put a video together, and it's just a slideshow. It's on my old YouTube channel. Maybe I should go in there, steal it, and put it
Right.
on this new one. Um, but it's just a slideshow of me every single day for that first year. So I think that was pretty special.
Right.
Yeah, that's a good memory.
Yeah, definitely, definitely.
Yeah. So let's move on to our next respondent, Rin. And she said, back in college, I would play the original Animal Crossing on GameCube all the time, and my roommate was perpetually puzzled by it. She was like, "You're just fishing all the time. Now you're pulling weeds. How is this fun?" Many years later, she messaged me on Facebook, "I got Wild World. I get it now."
That's
um,
awesome.
Yeah, have any of you ever tried to describe Animal Crossing to anyone? I mean, I guess now life sims are a pretty normal type of game to play.
Right.
But when you first talk to somebody and you're like, "Oh, this is my game Animal Crossing. I'm trying to pay off my loan, my mortgage, and oh, here's some fish, and oh, these weeds are in my way. Also,
Right.
don't run because you'll kill my flowers." It's like it's crazy. Nobody would think that that would become such a huge game.
Right. Right. I always preface it like I tell them, I'm gonna describe the game to you and it's gonna sound boring, but trust me, it's not. It really isn't.
Yeah, and I guess over the years I've also come to the point where I'm like, okay, this game isn't for everybody because it is like life sims are a different type of experience,
Right.
and so there are people who they for the most part they like games that have like nonstop action the whole
Right.
time. Like you and I, we both play a lot of Splatoon 2, and that's nonstop action.
Right.
Unless I mean, once you get splatted, you get a little break, but yeah, that's like it's crazy to think that for some people to think that you can find so much joy from doing essentially nothing.
Right. Right.
Yeah, but it's an interesting game.
Yeah, we love it.
Yeah, and you gotta think it's fun to have a second little life to
Right.
live.
Then we have a comment by Cyborg Jiro. He says, originally, you didn't know Sable would ever acknowledge you in the first game, but that didn't stop me from trying, and eventually she does open up to you, and that's a cool feeling. Also, in New Leaf, I like making my own designs, so making designs for furniture is just really fun. It is just a great addition to the series. I agree, definitely.
Yeah, I guess when did you find out that like Sable actually would eventually become your friend and tell you some stories about her childhood?
Right, it took a while, and at first I was thinking, oh, am I bothering her? Should I maybe not talk to her? Is anything gonna happen? But yeah, I mean, you keep at it, and it's a really cool. Like we were talking about Brewster, I think building a relationship with Sable is also a really cool one.
Yeah, I guess I don't remember exactly what made me decide to talk to her. Because I think you walk into Able Sisters in the first game. Um, was Able Sisters always on the beach in the first game? I
I
feel like
don't
it
think
was,
so.
but I don't know. It might not have been.
No.
Anyways, I always felt like she was on the beach. Maybe it's just me.
Hmm.
Um, But anyway, so I'd walk in and then I'd talk to them and I was like, "Oh, she's kind of mean. She don't want to talk to me." And so for a while I didn't really talk to her or anything.
Right,
Also, I didn't really make a lot of patterns or anything, so I didn't have much of a reason
right,
to
that's
go
right.
to Able Sisters in the first game. Also, the first game was strange because you didn't buy clothing at the Able Sisters. I think you bought your clothing all at Nook's
Right.
place.
Hmm.
So I'm glad they moved that over to them.
Yeah, makes sense.
Yeah, it makes so much more sense. Anyway, so eventually I was just like, you know what? I'm gonna talk to her and see if something happens. And then you do it. You talk to her every day, and then all of a sudden you're friends, and it's
Right,
super cool.
right, and
Um,
then she's telling you about her favorite TV show, and she makes it sound so exciting.
that's true. Yeah, I forgot about that.
Right.
Um, Yeah, I think that's a fun time.
Yeah.
Especially because like at first, the first few days she doesn't really talk to you too much, and then you have a little bit of a breakthrough where you're like,
Right.
"Oh, you again." And, like she recognizes you at this point.
Right.
So that's pretty cool. I guess I'll get to my favorite moment. And it's funny because before we started recording, we were talking a bit about Labo, and I've said
Hmm.
that I was a bit tempted to get it, but this will probably explain why to you. So, my favorite moment was when I first heard about the game. I was in sixth grade and I just heard about the GameCube. At this point, I didn't have a GameCube, and I didn't really see I didn't know if I was going to get one anytime soon,
Right. Hmm.
So I would build my own Game Cubes out of like cardboard or paper and I'd try to like perfect the design and then I'd just like pretend to play on a TV
Right.
with like my little cardboard cutouts of all the things. So anyways, a friend of mine described Animal Crossing to me. I don't think I really got a good idea of what the game was, and I definitely didn't know what it looked like. I just knew it existed, and I knew that I wanted it. And I think to me, Animal Crossing has just always been something exciting and magical. And so when I finally got to play it, I was like, oh, this is a world that's just for me.
Right.
and my brother and my friend who also lived there. But it was just for me. And so I don't know. I think that was very special. So I, from the very beginning, I was interested in
Right.
Animal Crossing, but I didn't really know why. And then I played it, and I was like, "Oh, this is just what I wanted."
Right. This was missing in my life.
Yeah.
Right. That's pretty
Uh,
awesome.
yeah. So I made things out of cardboard, and that's why I'm interested in
Ah,
that
yeah,
one.
that actually makes a lot of sense. You have to
Yeah.
get it.
Yeah, maybe I will. We'll see. I'm gonna see some videos of it for sure.
Right. So, my favorite moment, it's something that actually I just remember on my own one of these a couple days ago, just because I don't know, it just stood out and the memory came back. But when Newly was fresh, it wasn't even a month after it came out. I was playing with a group of friends from another chat, and one of their villagers asked them for a koi. And they said, "Oh, I'm having a hard time fishing out a koi. Can you guys help me out?" And we said, "Oh, yeah, sure." So three of us go to the town, and we're all fishing around the river, different spots. And koi is it's not exactly easy to catch. So about half an hour into the whole ordeal, I'm the lucky one that gets the koi. And then you know how you can show off a fish, and I'm showing it off, and we're all taking pictures and clapping around. And then I ask the person, okay, so how do I give it to you? I don't see an option. So basically, we learned the hard way that you cannot share fish or bugs with players. And
Yeah.
yeah, I think the person eventually wasn't able to fulfill the request, unfortunately.
Oh, darn.
Yeah,
That's too bad. Yeah, that's the yeah, I just remember being like I think I tried the same kind of thing as you,
right.
where I'd just try to initially sell fish to somebody. Because you know what? The first game, if you talk to your little gyroid outside of your house,
Mhm.
you could post stuff for sale there.
Oh, okay,
But I don't
including.
think,
Mm,
but I don't think it would let you post like fish or bugs.
okay,
Um, but yeah, so when people would visit, they could talk to your gyroid and they'd be like, "Oh, I have some things here to sell if you want any." So it was a cool way to like instead of trade items, sell
right.
them to your friends.
Right, that's cool. And I mean, it makes it would be easy. You could just put the fish in a bag and that's it. And the bug transfer from net to net. But at the same time, I get why not. The game wants you to catch each one on your own.
Yeah, it really that's definitely what they're going for.
Right.
But I think it would be nifty if like once you've caught something, you can trade it,
Right, right. If
or
both of you
trade
have it.
for it.
Right.
So, yeah, that would be a good thing to implement in the new game.
Yeah.
Um, but yeah, that's pretty great. I totally forgot about that. That's why also Pocket Camp is weird because you can like sell your fish and stuff in the marketplace to other players, and you're like, man, I could buy this fish that I haven't caught yet, and then just have it in my catalog, you know?
Right.
Yeah. So yeah, it's so cool to see Animal Crossing has made it to 17 years. Because, for us, it's been a really good time playing, lots of good memories playing that game.
Right.
Yeah, so hopefully this time next year, though, we have at least some news for the next game.
Right. Hopefully we don't have to wait 17 months.
Oh, gosh, yeah. Let's just hope we're getting the new game. Speaking of the new game, let's move on to our final topic of the night, and that is the Twitter poll that I put out. I had one question, and I wasn't gonna let anybody out of it. There's no maybe. There was just yes or no, because I wanted to avoid any maybes.
Mm,
Anyway, so I asked the question: do you think Animal Crossing Switch will get announced at E3? Before I reveal the results, Sergio, what do you think? Do you think it's going to be revealed at E3?
I think so, yes.
I think so too. I'm getting my hopes up. I'm building them up. And if it's not announced, they're going to crash down. I'm going to feel like, oh, it's never going to happen. It's gonna be devastating. But anyways, so we managed to get 165 votes on this, and we got 75% of voters saying that yes, it would get announced, and 25% said no,
Hmm.
it would not. And I think this is just showing that people are hyped for the game.
Hmm.
I think we've been wanting, like I said, an HD Animal Crossing since the Wii U was announced. You're like, I'm sure everybody was like, this is going to be the most beautiful, most wonderful game because of just, it's going to be HD, you know?
Right.
Um, so, yeah, what do you think of the results?
I think that's great. So that's a 3-to-1 ratio. Yeah, the hype and the hunger is there. I think it should be announced. I think it's late. I think they should have announced it already. So I definitely expect it. I just think it's really late.
Yeah. And like Nintendo's announced a lot of really big games that we know are coming, you know?
Hmm.
And I think they're running out of things to announce. I think they've got to give us a little bit of what's coming up in not only like the last half of 2018, but
Hmm.
at least a little bit of the beginning of 2019,
Right. Right.
because they've got to come big to E3. All companies have to come big to E3.
Right.
So anyways, I wanted to go real quickly through some of the comments that people left on the tweet. I'll actually send it over to you
Hmm.
right now, just so you can take a look. I'm gonna I'm gonna just start from the top. So, a friend of mine, Connor, he commented and he said, either during E3 or its own direct by then. Now, not earlier than a week after Labo launch, though. So yeah, he's convinced that we've got to get an announcement for Animal Crossing by E3. He doesn't think it will be like next week, just because
Right.
Labo is going to be the big thing that's
Right.
coming out.
Right.
Um, but he does think it's coming soon. Another comment here from Jeslyn, who's on the Discord. She said, I sadly voted no, but I'm hoping I am super wrong. And that's how I felt actually up until this point.
Hmm.
Um, I think this is the first time in a long time, probably since about 2015, that I've been like, okay, it's time to announce Animal Crossing, you know?
Right.
And so the big thing with 2015 was E3 that year. We had already heard about Animal Crossing Happy Home Designer
Right.
coming to 3DS. So we were going into that E3 knowing that we were getting a 3DS game. But everybody was pretty sure we were getting a Wii U game. And we didn't. No, I'm just kidding. We did. It was Amiibo Festival. But we pretty much didn't.
Right. We didn't. We didn't.
Yeah. So after that, I think I was just like, you know what? I don't know if Animal Crossing is going to get announced. Early on in my channel, I made a video called, it was like, is Animal Crossing going to be a launch title on Nintendo Switch?
Hmm.
And in that one, I think I said no as well. And that
Oh.
was early 2017, so early last year,
Hmm.
or it was late 2016.
Right.
No, it must have been early 2017 because we didn't know what the Switch was.
Right. But maybe before that January video where they explained everything.
Yeah, so at that point, I was like, you know what? I don't think it's going to be a launch title.
Right.
But now it's been a while, and I think I'm there. I think I'm ready to set my hopes high. So another little comment is from a Twitter user, Mr. Gusak Official. They said, I personally think we won't see it at E3 this year since the same team seems to be riding the Splatoon train and is probably working on the second paid DLC alongside Octo expansion.
Hmm.
Um, I don't know. I think Splatoon is at the point where it's big enough where they've just got a dedicated team on there, you know?
Right,
And the bulk of the game is already out.
right, exactly.
So I think they wouldn't like keep a team working on something that's essentially already done. Like people can already buy it. It's a final product that they keep adding to.
Right, right. I think they have up and coming developers handling the DLC. And to be honest, not to speak ill of Splatoon at all, but I think that DLC is probably already done, and they're just deciding how to spread the DLC. But mostly the besides being a huge team that works on these games at the same time, I think most of the team it's already, or hopefully, they're working on a big reveal for Animal Crossing.
Yeah, and you make a really good point because, you know, Nintendo's also trying to space out the games they put out,
Right.
you know. Um, they did a really good job of that last year where pretty much every month we had a game to look forward to, you
Hmm.
know. So I think they're gonna follow that type of thing for, you know, the lifetime of the Switch. Um, I don't think they want to give us any lulls, especially in the beginning of this system. That's
Hmm.
already been really successful for them,
Right.
you know?
Right.
Um, so yeah, I think Splatoon is probably at the point where it has like a small dedicated team that's keeping it up to date, you know? And a lot of other people have moved on
Right.
to work on whatever's coming next, you know?
Right. Hmm.
All right. Cyborg Jiro, another Discord person, has said at E3 or right before, I think. So similar to Connor's comment, um,
Hmm.
essentially by E3, you know?
Right. Hmm.
And then you commented on this. You said, "I voted yes. The hype train or the hype ride is worth the potential crash and burn." And yeah, I think you're totally right.
Right.
And then we had one last comment, and it's from Twitter user Sammy V98, and she said, "I wish." I'm voting no though. They're very focused on Pocket Camp, earning more money with Leaf tickets. And she does make a good point. Like we were talking about earlier, the fortune cookies are going to be a big money maker, I think.
Right.
Um, but I don't. Do we know what team was behind Pocket Camp? Because I know DNA was doing a lot of like the Nintendo mobile games.
Right.
Is it them working on Pocket Camp?
No, I believe it's N Cube or something similar to that, but it's not DNA, but it's also definitely not the core team that works on Animal Crossing.
Okay, yeah. So I think this is just a side team, just like all of the mobile Nintendo games have been so far, you know?
Right.
So I'm not too worried about Pocket Camp taking away from Animal Crossing resources,
Right.
especially if Pocket Camp is truly there to hype up the next game, you know?
Right, and even, I mean, at some point you might think, well, they might be trying to analyze how Pocket Camp is working, what players like, what they don't like. I don't think so because the traditional Animal Crossing experience, it's nothing like Pocket Camp. You cannot really compare or see what people spend money on because when you buy the game for the Switch, that's all you're gonna spend most likely.
Yeah, I don't expect them to do paid items, you know?
Right,
Um, maybe they'll do some sort of big paid DLC later in the game, you
right,
know?
right,
I don't imagine we'll get as big an update as Welcome Amiibo without having to pay for it next time.
right.
Um, but at the same time, like, you know, it's some aspect that might need to be on everybody's game so they have that same experience and can play together still, you know?
Right, and it seems to be Nintendo's way of doing things. Zelda got a season pass, and you could get it from day one, but the big content came in two chunks. They don't really do microtransactions, let's say.
Yeah, and I think it's really different when it's in a game that's like a multiplayer type of thing.
Hmm.
Um, I think the big DLC works with games like Zelda because, that's a one-player game. You can either experience it that way or you can't.
Right.
Multiplayer games make it more difficult because, like, for Splatoon, for example, like, we get tons of free updates all the time, whether it's new weapons and new stuff, but they're not trying to sell us
Right.
weapons,
Right.
because that could lead into the unfair territory, especially for, like, the competitive aspect of the game.
Right.
So I think Animal Crossing, though it's not the same type of multiplayer as Splatoon,
Hmm.
I think it's like a bit of a shared experience that needs to be kind of the same across the board.
Right. Hmm.
But yeah, those were all the comments on there. I thought they were pretty good. Everybody had, like, some good reason for not saying yes or no.
Right. Right. Even the naysayers, we get their angle.
Yeah, definitely. They bring up good points. And like, Nintendo is at a weird point where, like, they've kept so quiet about the game.
Right.
Um, so we don't know at all if they've been working on it or not.
Hmm.
We can just hope. So, yeah, that's the big thing, because even when Pocket Camp was revealed, that direct announcement killed me.
Hmm.
They were like, we are not talking about the Switch at all. Just stop.
Yeah.
Don't even ask. So,
That
yeah.
was evil.
Oh, so it's rough, especially because, I watched the Fire Emblem Direct because I'm also a Fire Emblem fan,
Mm.
but I watched that Direct and I'm like, oh, cool. There's a Switch title planned for 2018.
Yeah.
I hope we get that type of announcement for Animal Crossing. And no, they didn't. And
Yeah,
maybe,
that's not fair.
yeah, it's not fair. But also, they could just be avoiding that 3-year wait that we
Right.
had for New Leaf, which also scares me because I'm like, okay, so you're not saying anything. Maybe it's because you don't think the game's going to be coming out within a year,
Right.
But how long are we going to wait till it's within a year?
Right, because that Fire Emblem game, it's been very quiet. Who knows? It might not even make it this year.
Yeah, they announced that back in January 2017, and so yeah, we're getting pretty close to the end there.
Right.
So yeah, anyways, that is our show for today. Hopefully you all had a great time. Hopefully, if you're not already, go and celebrate the 17th anniversary of Animal Crossing. Go look at your old towns. I'm sure you're gonna find some of your friends have moved, and some of your friends have stayed. But regardless, it'd be nice to look back at your town. So anyways, yeah, thanks so much for listening. If you want to be part of the conversation on all things Animal Crossing, join the Discord. I have a link in the description of this podcast. It's totally free to join. You don't have to be a patron, and if you do, you can get Sergio and my friend codes to Pocket Camp, as well as all the other Discord users' Pocket Camp codes. And if you do want to be a patron, visit patreon.com/ChewiePlaysNintendo. I have one tier, it's $1, and you can support the show, get tons of cool things. You get my friend codes on 3DS, Wii U, Switch. You can have your thoughts shared on the podcast, and you can get some art from Sergio. We try really hard to make it worth it because we appreciate all the support, and we're super happy to have everybody just enjoying the show
Right.
and enjoying it enough to support us. And if you are listening on YouTube, be sure to comment about your favorite Animal Crossing memory. Also, like, share, and subscribe for more Animal Crossing content. And if wherever you're listening, please leave a review for the show. It helps the show gain some visibility and allows our community to grow. So if you love Animal Crossing, leave us a review and we'll get more people into the community. And once again, thank you all for listening. We hope you have a great week.
Bye, everyone. Have a nice week.